Hello everyone, and welcome to our recorded version of the webinar we just presented called Leveraging HPE ALM and QuerySurge to Test HPE Vertica. I'm Bill Hayduk, and I have with me Chris Thompson, who's a senior domain expert for data quality and testing. All right, let's kick off the video. Here's what you're going to see in this webinar. The first thing is a custom view of ALM to store source to target mappings. You're going to see data validation tests in QuerySurge, the execution of QuerySurge tests from ALM, the results of data validation tests stored in ALM, custom ALM reports that show data validation coverage of Vertica, and how we will improve your data quality while reducing your costs and risks. All right, a little bit about RTTS. RTTS is the parent company of QuerySurge. We're the premier software and services firm in the QA and testing space, and we specialize in test automation. We've been around for 21 years. We're founded in '96. We're based in Midtown Manhattan, so New York, New York. QuerySurge is our software division. We've had over 700 customers, most of them in the Fortune 500, and we have alliance partnerships with pretty much everyone in the big data space. So let's take a look at testing a data warehouse. The business case for the C-level people in critical data is pretty straightforward. We all know that C-level executives are using BI and analytics to make critical business decisions, and the assumption here is that the data underlying all this is accurate. And Gartner says that the average organization loses about $14 million annually through poor data quality, and that some organizations lose as much as $100 million. So this is a critical testing piece. And we know that the underlying data architecture, as you can see here, presents a lot of potential problem areas. So from our source data through the ETL process, into a data warehouse, through another ETL process, into a data mart that the BI and analytics software sits on, presents a lot of challenges, and we're going to look at those challenges now. So a typical data warehouse and ETL process looks like this. You have source data, which may be traditional databases, flat files, Excel, XML, web services, mainframe, anything that stores data that will end up in the ETL process, where the ETL process will be extracting and sometimes transforming and then loading the data into a data warehouse or data mart. Now, which data goes where? That's where the source to target mapping document comes in. A quick definition of what that is. It's a specification or requirements doc that shows how data in one system is mapped to another system, and this is typically created and stored in Word or Excel. The elements of a data mapping document are typically the attributes that you see in your source data and in your target data store, which are table name, column name, and source type like varchar or integer. And also your transformation rules, if any, such as aggregating data or adding up sales numbers, combining records, splitting records, anything along these lines. And there are issues with mapping documents and testing. Specifically, there's no easy way to link mappings to test for traceability right now, and no easy way to store test results or to report on data testing coverage. Until now, and you'll see that in the customizations we've done in HPE ALM. So let's look at the data process for both the developer and the tester. Again, here's our normal architecture where you have source data going through an ETL process, into a data warehouse, through another ETL process, and into a data mart where the BI or analytics software sits on top of. So the developer codes his data movement based on the mapping requirements in the document we just discussed, and they use whatever their ETL tool is, whether it be Informatica Power Center or IBM DataStage or Ab Initio or whatever they happen to be using. The tester would test this data movement based on the same mapping requirements to validate that the ETL developer did it correctly, and they'll either use a SQL editor and then dump the results into Excel, or they'll use a SQL editor and use minus queries. So let's talk about the tools that we're going to see in this demo. The first one being HPE's Application Lifecycle Management, the second being RTTS's QuerySurge, and the third being HPE's Vertica. HPE's ALM tool, or Application Lifecycle Management, is the de facto industry standard for modern quality management. It's been around since in the earlier years as Quality Center and now as Application Lifecycle Management. It's pretty much used by 60 to 70% of companies that we work with in the enterprise. About HPE Vertica, Vertica is one of the most advanced SQL database out there for data warehousing. Vertica's column-oriented storage significantly increases query performance in data warehouses. So there's a significant amount of customers out there using Vertica and are very happy with it. And then there's QuerySurge. QuerySurge is the leading data testing solution for automated testing and validation of big data and data warehouses. We have 5 use cases for QuerySurge. The first we're going to cover here, which is data warehouse ETL testing. The second is data interface or ERP testing, specifically testing SAP or PeopleSoft or Workday or any trading system or large enterprise system that has lots of external data feeds into it or data feeds coming out of it. Also, we have our big data testing, so that's Hadoop and NoSQL, data migration testing if you're going from one vendor to another, and database upgrade testing if you're going from one vendor version to another version. Just a quick look at what QuerySurge provides as far as an advantage. We have query wizards that allow you to get tests created with no coding needed. You can automate about 80% of your tests. The other 20% can be done with our custom coding. Also, you can verify more data and do it quickly. QuerySurge can verify up to 100% of all data and do it 1,000 times faster than using SQL editors in Excel or SQL editors and minus queries. Automate the entire testing cycle. You can automate the launch, the test execution, the comparison of data, and then have auto-emailed results sent to everyone on the team. Testing across different platforms, tests across enterprise data warehouses, Hadoop, NoSQL data stores, traditional databases, flat files, XMLs, mainframe, you name it. Anything with a JDBC connection and QuerySurge can get at the data. Also, it's built to integrate for continuous delivery, so it fits into your DevOps strategy. So QuerySurge integrates with most build, ETL, and QA management software, and also provides nice analysis and collaboration, so a data health dashboard, shared tests, and auto-emailed reports. The QuerySurge architecture is web-based. It has a concept of a Web 2.0 controller. It has servers and then QuerySurge agents that do all the work. It's web-based. It installs on either Linux or Windows. You can put in a cloud. You can install it on a VM image. And it connects to everything you see here and others that you may not see here. Pretty much any data source with a JDBC compliant driver we can connect to. The way QuerySurge works is it connects to data sources and target data. It pulls data back from both. It compares the data quickly in our engine and then generates reports, auto-emailed results, and updates our data health dashboard. QuerySurge is also built for DevOps and continuous integration. You can kick QuerySurge off from a data integration or ETL process. So if you're using Informatica Power Center or IBM DataStage or any other ETL process, when that process is complete, it can automatically kick off QuerySurge. QuerySurge will run unattended. When it is done, it will report back to your favorite test management solution and then auto-email everyone on the team. This same strategy can be used from a build or configuration solution such as Jenkins, Electric Cloud, or Puppet, or any other. Will automatically kick off QuerySurge. QuerySurge runs unattended, does all its testing, reports back to your favorite test management solution, and emails reports to everyone on the team. And then the third use case that we're going to be talking about here is through a test management solution. So QuerySurge is going to be executed from ALM by HP. QuerySurge will run unattended, test everything, report back to ALM, and then auto email reports to everyone on the team. So let's look at the specific use case that we're going to be viewing here, and that's testing Vertica using ALM and QuerySurge. So here again is our the process that the developers and the testers were going to be developing and testing on. The developers will code the data movement based on the mapping requirements. The source data is in MySQL, and the target data is in Vertica Data Warehouse. And the tester is going to use QuerySurge to test in between these two legs to validate all the data is moved correctly. If there are more legs, if it went from the target data warehouse to a data mart, then QuerySurge would be going from MySQL to Vertica to the data mart. As many legs as are there, QuerySurge can test against. Okay, so here we see again our source data and our target data. Source in MySQL, target in Vertica. And then HPE ALM, the ALM customized mapping requirements will be found in HPE. And then ALM will schedule a kickoff of QuerySurge through our API. QuerySurge will then extract data from both MySQL and Vertica, bring it into the QuerySurge compression engine. QuerySurge will execute all tests, compare all data, compile all the reports, and then it will automatically report back all the data failures and put the reports in ALM for issue tracking and coverage. And then our custom reports in ALM will show the data coverage of QuerySurge on Vertica. All right, so now Chris Thompson is going to take over and show you a demo of the testing of Vertica with HPE ALM and QuerySurge.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you everybody for joining today's webinar. You should be seeing the application lifestyle management login on your screen. I'll go ahead and log in. And we have a QS demo project already set up, and we'll log into that. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice on the left-hand side is that the requirements module has been changed. It's now called the data mapping module. We'll go ahead and click into that. We'll start there. Okay, and as you can see, the Z cities are source, and then we've organized ourselves by folders. Each folder is a target table where that source data will be coming into. So it's sort of a nice way to organize yourself. And let's first discuss our two types of assets in the requirements module that has been renamed to data mappings. So we'll go ahead and take a look at one of our mappings. And we'll click into it here. So the data mapping requirement type has several fields. The first field is a mapping number. It's just a good way to keep yourself organized by coming up with some sort of numbering scheme. Also, we have our source table, our source column, and a drop down for our data types on the source side. Additionally, we have an example value, the target table, a target column, and a target data type similar to the source. Down at the bottom, we have any transformation logic that may be part of this mapping. And we'll just zoom in so we can take a better look. So in this particular case, populate the target, which is HPE Vertica, the orders fact table, the status column using the following logic, which is when incomplete on the source side, then pending on the target side, else just one-to-one mapping from the source to target. Close this. And the other test asset that we've customized is the data models for the source. So we'll take a look at that. And we can see that we have the tables and your typical data model. This one for the Z-City source database, and similarly for our target data warehouse as well. Okay, so Now that we've shown the different test assets for the data mapping requirement module, we can go to Analysis View and run a report. And the type of report we're going to run is a data mapping document report, which is similar to what you see on most projects. So we'll go ahead and go to the Configuration tab and generate this report. So this is very typical of what you'll see out in the industry for data mapping documents. We have our source table column, our source column, source type, the transformation logic, target table, target column, and our target data type. In the middle with all the different transformation logic between source and target. Now if I scroll down all the way through this, we've also included in this customized report our data model, so everything's in one place. I'll go ahead and close the report. And we'll go back to ALM. Okay, so we've talked about the data mappings, the different types. We've talked about the data mapping document, so let's now get into test planning, where we'll actually plan our tests and create our tests for QuerySurge. Similar setup here. We have folders for each of our target tables, and we have a test, ALM test, for each one of our columns or each one of our mappings in this particular case. We'll take a look at the status one, and we'll take a look at the test script. Now you'll notice the type is VAP-EXP test. This is a way for ALM to communicate with other tools outside of it. The test script is a VAP-EXP test script that comes with QuerySurge. There's a sample of this script that comes with QuerySurge, so this would not be something that you would need to create. It comes when you purchase the tool. I'd also like to point out the requirement coverage. This links the status data mapping requirement to this test case. And then moving along to test lab, where we'll actually execute our tests. We'll go ahead and find that same test, orders fact test set, similar organization to the test plan. On the left side and on the right side, all of our different tests for the orders fact table. We'll go ahead and highlight the orders fact Z-City status test, and we'll go ahead and execute that. Now while that's setting up and processing for execution, I'll scroll back over to our QuerySurge instance where it'll be executing from. We'll go ahead and go to the Run Dashboard, and shortly we'll see it pop up in the upper left corner as QuerySurge picks up the execution. So there you go, it's just showed up now. So we can click on that. And that'll show the execution as it goes through the process. In this case, it's just a single query pair, a single test suite. Double click into it. Here's our query pair and our query pair outcome. You'll look on the right hand side, we have a number of source rows, the number of target rows, which are equal in this case, and we do have some failures, 1,373 failures. QuerySurge brings back all the source data, all the target data, and of course identifies any failures between the two. And in this particular case, we have pending on the left-hand side is not being transformed correctly. It should be pending on the right-hand side, but is coming over as incomplete. So we'll take a quick look back in ALM and check on the mapping. And we could also see in ALM that the test had failed. So we'll go back to the data mapping module, take a look at the orders fact folder, look at the status, and we can see that when incomplete on the source side should come across as pending. That logic was not implemented correctly, and the ETL did not work properly to specifications. So you would enter a defect against this. That's quite simple to do. We could just simply click on the requirement, go to link defects, and we could add and link a defect. Give it a severity and click OK. And now we have a link defect. There was one actually previously as well, so there's 2 link defects against this mapping. Additionally, in here, just to point out, you also could see your test coverage. That the test that we ran before is actually linked to that data mapping requirement. So just a couple other things I wanted to point out is you can have multiple query pairs per ALM test. So we'll go ahead and take a look at one of those. And the product code ALM test here from a previous execution, we can see under steps, you'll see that there are 10 steps, each step representing an individual query pair, testing each one of these. One did fail. We'll go ahead and take a look at the failure one, because it'll be more interesting. We can go ahead and click here, and then this will take you directly to the results within QuerySurge itself. So again, the source row count 363, the target row 363, failed row count 363, all the source data, all the target data, and more interestingly, what failures did we see? And we'll just do a side-by-side view. And as you can see, on the left side, to the right side, it's missing the 7 on the left side, on the source side. On the target, it contains the 7, so something occurred during the ETL. Again, we will go back, take a look at the data mapping requirement, and if necessary, create a defect for this particular issue. Okay, so now that we've completed taking a look at this failure, we'll move back over to ALM. And just to show you a couple other things in ALM before we go today, let me close out of this test, and we'll go back to analysis view to show you some additional reports. The one is mapping summary coverage by status, and we'll take a look at this report, and we can see that in total we have 19, 7, and 3 requirements, or data mapping requirements, so 29 in total. 19 are in a status of passed, 7 are not covered, and 3 are failed. We can go ahead and drill into these, and we could take a look to see which ones aren't covered, and perhaps assign those to a tester to create tests for. Additionally, we could look at the failures and decide which ones require defects assigned to them, and assign those from here. Also, we also have another report to show you today, the mapping summary coverage by table. So this is a similar report. It just breaks it out by table. So these are all the target tables for HPE Vertica, this data warehouse demo. And it's the same thing, failed, not covered, and passed.
All right, thanks Chris for the demo, and thanks everyone for joining in this. We have lots of videos on our website. Please visit us at www.querysurge.com. Thanks again.